Let's do it.
Oh, hello again, rabid internet fan base with your insatiable desire for vacant and undeveloped land. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hemingway Land YouTube channel. Got a property going live this week that, unlike the last few weeks' worth of properties, will not require a 15-minute video explanation of every little thought that pops into my head about the property. It's not a complicated one, guys. It's going to be an easy one, so it's going to be a short video this week. But before I get to that, I did want to address a question, or rather a comment that we had last week on the YouTube channel about the property that we listed last week. Now, before I get to that, because none of my explanations can ever be simple, it's worth noting that we have two properties currently for sale on the website, CB&M 0010 and CB&M 0012, both located in Cibola County, both relatively pricey, and both are properties that we purchased from someone who purchased them at a tax auction. And the way things work with title companies in New Mexico, and most title companies I've encountered, is that from the time something sells at a tax auction, a certain period of time needs to pass. In New Mexico, it's 7 years. 7 years is normally what I hear from title companies or from their underwriters. I'm sure this is not consistent throughout all 50 states, but in the ones I've dealt with, it's usually 7 years. All right. So anyway, the point is we were not able to acquire title insurance on it, and when we sell the property to the eventual buyer, they cannot acquire title insurance on it until those 7 years have elapsed, aka May 2027. And I do not like purchasing properties under these circumstances. I do not like selling properties under these circumstances, but I made an exception with these two and with a third one that we had sold because I really like the property. I feel you guys will like it as well, and I investigated the title history and I was confident in it. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So the point is that because you cannot acquire title insurance on it, because a title company cannot be involved, it's basically, if you want to buy the property, you have to pay us directly. Credit card, cashier's check, wire transfer, whatever. And, I try to make these video presentations, polished, professional enough. I try for the website, for online presence to be such that if you were to make a purchase like that, you would be confident in doing business with our company, blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, last week on the YouTube channel, somebody left a comment, which was, no title company, just trust, no thanks. And so I wanted to address that. Now, I wrote a response to that last week, but I just want to address that here. So I don't make the rules. I just disclose them and hope that that engenders a certain level of trust with you guys. What I will say is that if you have the amounts for these properties, $25,000, $35,000 respectively, and you really want to buy these properties, and you really want to pay us that amount of money for these properties, and the only hang-up is, I don't want to just give you money directly, I want some third-party intermediary, there's probably a situation that could be worked out. This is, believe it or not, in these lengthy 15, 20-minute video explanations about the properties, there are things I leave out. There are things I elect to go, well, I guess we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to go into that level of detail. But this is one of those things, which is that title companies, title and escrow, if they can't insure the property, we'd probably be able to find someone, or we work with enough title companies that we'd be able to find someone that would be willing to do the escrow part of it. Meaning we would sign and notarize a deed, give it to them, they would take your money, and they would record the deed with the county, meaning convey the property to you, and only once that's been done would they release your funds to us. Now, I don't mention in the video because, quite frankly, what I just described is super simple in real life, but not for a title company. In real life, you want to pay us money, we write a deed in 10 minutes, here you go. We organize the wire transfer, whatever, and then we get the deed recorded, and I mean, it's off to the county within 24 hours. It's recorded within probably about 72. We're emailing you a copy proving it's been recorded, and then it shows up in the mail within a week or so. Blah, blah, blah. But if you do not feel confident in that process and you want to go through a title company, it's completely understandable. The thing of it is, the thing that always bothers me about it, is that it's a simple transaction that we do in a day and would take them, I'm going to be charitable and say 4 weeks. Realistically, I think 6 weeks. Hemingway, why? Why would it be so slow? Because it's not top priority for them. It's top priority for us. It's not top priority for them. Additionally, you'd probably have to explain about 7 or 8 times, no, we're not trying to get title insurance. We just want you to hold on to the money until the deed is conveyed. So on and so forth. Additionally, they would get they would never allow us to write the deed. They would get their attorney to write the deed. That person would hokey poke around with it for way longer than is reasonable. And based off my experience, the first iteration of that deed that they present, the legal description would be wrong, and we'd have to correct them on it, and we'd go back and forth with it, and yada, yada, yada. So it's all my way of saying that a very simple process that you can trust us to do that takes 24 hours for us to get the paperwork to you and, a handful of days to convey the property to you once we've been paid is something that would take them far longer, and you would have to pay them for, and you would have to put up with all the, the hokey pokery throughout that process. And that is why I don't mention it in the video. But full disclosure, if any of you are looking at those properties and that's your one hang up, that's the thing that you're like, I wish this, intermediary existed. We can do that. We can work on that for you with the title company. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. But I just want to take a moment to follow up on that because I thought it's a reasonable point. I try to address it in the videos, but it's a decent question. So I did at least want to throw that out there in case any of you have similar reservations. Oh my God, 6 minutes in a video I promised you would be short. Anyway, all right, guys, with all that said, let's get to this week's new property. Here we go, guys. All right, people, going live on the website today, we are back in one of central New Mexico's most beautiful and peaceful regions, what some have called the agricultural heart of the state, namely Torrance County. And of course, guys, our buyers love this region because of all the affordable land you can buy in some very quaint rural communities, all of them less than 45 minutes away from the population, economic, and cultural heart of the state, Albuquerque. And of course, the listing we're going to be discussing today is one such property. This one is reference number TRNM-18053. It is a 1-acre corner lot featuring power at the lot line, priced at $6,000, and as with all of our listings, it features very affordable financing. To learn more, let's go to the map. All right, guys, pictured in front of us here is the state of New Mexico. And if we zoom in on the central part of the state, we will see Albuquerque over here. And of course, as noted, Albuquerque has a lot to offer its residents, from dining and shopping to academic institutions, medical services, as well as culture and nightlife. Plenty to see, plenty to do in this vibrant and hip, thriving metropolitan community. And while there are a lot of people who love living here, there are some who have come to feel that it is too fast-paced, too congested, or too expensive, or just a place where they will only ever be able to rent, and those people would prefer to own. And for those who have the luxury of either working from home or don't mind commutes, some move north to Rio Rancho, some move south to Los Lunas, and others still hop on the I-40 and drive about 45 minutes east, past Cedillo, past Cedar Crest, and past Edgewood, all the way out to the slower paced, less crowded, and less expensive Torrance County, and the property we will be discussing today. More specifically, guys, this property is located just south of Moriarty and just east of the 41 in a subdivision called Ranchos Encantados. Ranchos Encantados, guys, a lot of fun to say, which occupies roughly all the land you see here. And if we go to the photos, we will see that, like a lot of parts of Torrance County, this is home to some agricultural operations, small family farms, or the homes of people who work in ag-adjacent industries. Now, you enter the sub really off the 41 along Madrid Ave, where you will first encounter this freshly paved road, as well as this local firehouse. It should be noted, guys, that this firehouse sits about a mile from the subject property. Now, additionally, as we drive along Madrid, we will see there are underground utilities up here. These do not extend all throughout the community, but my guess is if you give it a few years, they probably will. Whatever the case, you turn off the paved Madrid Ave onto the graded dirt and gravel of Barcelona Street and take that about 2 blocks south to Caballo Ave, where you will encounter the property we are selling today. Now, as noted, guys, this is a 1-acre corner lot situated where Barcelona meets Caballo. It's got power at the lot line, as you can see here, and the land itself is largely flat, so easy to park, camp, and build on. Now, of course, this is a little overgrown, so you'll need to do some clearing, some landscaping before you can develop, but that's to be expected. And of course, if we go to the drone high angle shots, we can get an excellent sense of the footprint of the land. Now, additionally, the other things that we see when we view it from this angle are the nearby home sites. And of course, guys, in a region like this, we'd like to show you what these homes look like, not only to give you a sense of what we'll call the pride of ownership within the community, but also it helps to give you a sense of how the land is typically developed in a region like this. And the point of all this is that while you can call the zoning office or read the zoning regulations, sometimes it's easier just to look at what's already there because it gives you a sense of what's commonly permitted within that community. So, of course, when we look at these photos, we see a lot of SFRs, mobile homes with permanent foundations, and, of course, some modular homes as well. So, not necessarily the place where you go to experiment and live out of a yurt or build a home out of recycled Pepsi bottles, but If you're looking to own the land your mobile home is parked on, this is a nice quiet spot for that. Now, just to expand on the topic of zoning for a moment, Ranchos Encantados has no HOA and no annual dues. Torrance County, however, does have formal zoning, so if we come back here to the listing page, go to the property details section, click on the zoning and restrictions tab, you can read all about the zoning by clicking this PDF. Now, long story short here, guys, this sub, like most of the rural subs outside Moriarty and McIntosh, is zoned RR, or Rural Residential. And shockingly, guys, this PDF actually goes into greater detail than most, as it gets into more specifics on permitted uses and conditional uses, and even goes into details about specifics of keeping and raising livestock, which of course is a big deal in this area. So if you are interested in such things, as an example, guys, on 1 acre lot such as this, you may keep no more than 2 horses or cows, or an equivalent number of sheep and goats. And if you're wondering how many goats and sheep are equivalent to horses and cows, according to Torrance County zoning, the answer is 3. 3 goats or 3 sheep, or some combination thereof. Now, in addition to all this, it is important to note that when the Ranchos Encantados subdivision was first created, the developer drew up a number of covenants and restrictions to run with the land, and a copy of that document can be viewed by clicking this link here. Now, as you can imagine, guys, most of these are what we like to call reasonable good neighbor restrictions, dealing with, as we like to say, primarily the disposal of trash and prohibitions on such things as excess noise. It is worthwhile to note, however, that enumerated within this document is the stipulation of about minimum square footage, which allows for 1-story structures as small as 720 square feet and 2-story structures as small as 1,200 square feet. That's smaller than what we normally encounter in these documents when these documents bother to mention such a thing. And that probably explains some of the smaller homes our photographer sent back pictures of, such as this one. Aside from that, however, the rest of this document is pretty standard. And, of course, it should be noted, guys, that RVs cannot be used as permanent dwellings out here, but, of course, may be used during the time the permanent dwelling is being constructed, as long as you have a building permit. So, pretty standard with what you will find in most New Mexico counties. Now, one quick thing I want to mention here, guys. When you see this many homes in close proximity to one another like this in a rural area such as this, it normally means the water table is very accessible and easy to drill a well. I, however, have looked at 25 photos of home sites out here, and I don't see a well in any of them. So while there are not city utilities out here, there is a company called EMWT Regional Water Association. Their website is linked on the listing page, but they tend to service a lot of the home sites in what they call the Estancia Valley, essentially all these rural subs in Moriarty and McIntosh. And basically, guys, because you have so much agriculture out here, I believe this company started as a way to preserve or better control the water supply throughout the valley. You've got gas lines throughout this region, so I assume there's also water lines in some form. I know we've seen that on a few properties. Honestly, guys, it's a topic I'm not totally conversant on, so I plead a certain amount of ignorance on this, but we've bought and sold enough land out here to know that it exists. And if you have additional questions about it, we'd recommend contacting EMWT, as they will clearly be far more knowledgeable on the topic than we will. Either way, guys, when you see this much concentrated development, whatever the water source is, usually means that water source is easy and affordable to acquire. So if you would like to purchase this property, you will be glad to know that we are offering it for the low price of a mere $6,000 cash, which you can initiate by clicking this Buy Now button and placing the non-refundable deposit of $500. You can elect to pay us the rest directly via credit card, cashier's check, or wire transfer, or close through a title company and fund the remainder at close of escrow. The choice, people, is entirely up to you. Either way, you will have documentation from us within 24 hours of that deposit. And if you cannot afford that, we're also offering the easy owner financing option of $1,500 down with $250 a month for 26 months, with 90 days same as cash. And of course, on this option, it's important to keep in mind, guys, that you will have a land contract with our company for the life of the loan, demonstrating your equitable interest in the property. Of course, our contracts have only prepayment incentives, no prepayment penalties, and as with all of our listings, you can view a copy of that contract here. That way you will know exactly what you'll be asked to sign before placing even $1. With all that said, going live at the site next week, we'll be back with a property ideally suited for all of you looking for off-grid, private, no zoning, and a perfect place to shoot some guns. True story, guys. Tune in next week to learn more. In the meantime, have a great 7 days, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you back here in our next video.